This travel journal is really working overtime. It's got a lot of extra detail and functions, turning it into not just an everyday planner or diary, but also a mini album with lots of interactive tags and pockets. Welcome to our travel journal with DIY folio insert tutorial. I'm Shari Filamahala here at the G45 headquarters, and today I'm going to teach you how to take this pre-made travel journal and turn it into a stunning planner with a little mini album insert. This project has been created for us this month by the one and only Carla Vera. And if you know her work, she is always adding fun interactive details and extra embellishments wherever she goes. So this project surely won't disappoint, and I'm excited to walk you through it. So you can see your travel album comes with 3 notebooks, and Carla has added extra fun little details, really showing us great ways to use up those 12 by 12 papers and journaling cards. And of course, adding extra tags because you always need little cute embellishments on each and every turn. So there's a lot of great pieces here for you to really personalize and document your journey. So of course, we are going to be creating 3 of these little notebooks, and they will each follow that same idea. So it makes this creating a cinch. And then inside, we are going to also create a little DIY folio that uses up the leftovers. So you open that up and you can see there's pages using up those bits and pieces and just providing so many spots for your photos and even your little extra journaling cards. So you've got to love this DIY folio, as well as all these added little details, just opening up the ideas. And we love that these could be used on projects in the future over and over again. Now to create this, you can go ahead and grab our kit, our volume 3 for 2022 album kit. It comes with the Let It Be collection pack. The collection pack has a double-sided 12 by 12 sheets in there, along with 2 cardstock sticker sheets. Of course, you're going to get the travel journal, the Let It Be journaling cards, our G45 roses in black, and a project sheet so you can follow along. But you can pick these up at your local G45 retailer or on our website at G45papers.com. You can pick up the individual kits, or you can become a subscriber where you get a similar kit like this with different products and different techniques to learn each and every month. So we encourage you to either pick up a kit or just grab some supplies that you've got at home and learn along with us for these fun and fabulous crafting techniques. Let's start the transformation process from this to this. So of course, you're going to want to grab your tools, your project sheet that you can get on our website at G45papers.com. Before we start the decoration process, let's go ahead and take out all 3 of our notebooks. That'll make decorating the cover a lot easier. And we're also going to be using this elastic for our DIY folio, so we'll take that out now as well. So we're going to start with our cover. So for step 1, we're going to take out 2 pieces of Just Because, and we've got these to be 4.5 by 8.5. And an optional step, if you want to take your corner rounder, we're going to round the front piece on the right hand side and the back piece on the left hand side. And then grab your adhesive of choice. I'm using some art glitter glue, and we are going to adhere our front and backs on to our album cover. And the back is a bit more tricky since there is that grommet from the elastic on there. So just make sure you're getting a very good connection around there and working out as much as the air pockets as you can. And then grabbing a damp cloth or paper towel, I'm just going to clean up any excess glue. Next, we're going to cut a piece of busy bee to be 1.5 by 7.25. And then adhere those busy bees down to the center spine. For step 2, we're going to take out this packaging from the rose bouquet set. So we're going to be cutting up this, and we want to cut it to be 3 5/8 by 7 1/8. So we're going to cut off the bottom first and then the right hand side. And if you see in the project sheet, it says to cut to 3 7/8. However, that is wrong. It is 3 5/8. Grab your Be My Honey paper and cut that to be 3.5 by 7 inches. Find the center and adhere that down on top of your packaging. And then adhere this to the front center cover. Step 3, grab the packaging from the journaling card. And now it's going to have us cut some circles for our front cover. However, if you don't have circle dies or you don't want to go around your house or try to figure out how to do circles in various shapes, I'm going to show you the same album instead of using circles but with squares. So of course you can always follow along with the directions, or you can follow along with me and do squares instead if you want to make it a little bit easier. So if you're doing a circle, you want it to be 4 3/8 diameter. If you're doing a square, we're doing 4 3/8 by 4 3/8 from our packaging. From our queen bee paper, we're going to cut out this even busy bees stop to smell the flowers. And then we're going to trim it down so it will be 3 7/8 of an inch. If you're doing the circles, you want it to be a 3 7/8 of an inch diameter. But here, I'm just going to take a 1/2 inch off the right, 1 3/4 off the left, and 1/8 of an inch off the top and bottom. So I end up with this beautiful little 3 7/8 inch square. There we go. Adhere that on top of the larger square. Then using a dimensional adhesive of your choice, I'm using some black foam tape that I got from scrapbook.com. We're going to adhere this about 1 3/4 inch from the top. So I'm just going to eyeball it and put her down. Of course, you can always use cardboard, chipboard, whatever you've got in your stash. Next, we're going to take this Be Yourself border and cut it out and then adhere it to the center of your spine. So the last step for the cover of our album is to decorate with flowers, and that's what it has us do in the project sheet. However, I'm going to wait until my insides are all decorated and I'll add those last. So far, I really am liking the circles a lot more. It breaks it up and makes it flow a lot more easily than the squares. However, I do think the square is still super cute, especially once we add those flowers, and it is an easy breezy way to do it. Step 5, I'm cutting out 2 pieces of queen bee to be 4 3/8 of an inch by 6 inches, and then I'm going to round my top right hand corner on one and top left hand corner on the other. Now we're just going to adhere these onto the inside front and back covers, and you do want this to slip inside your little pockets. So I prefer using a liquid adhesive for this so you can move it around and get it where you want it to go before it just permanently sticks. Step 6, we're going to cut a piece of busy bee to be 4 5/16 by 3 3/8. And then we are going to round our bottom right hand corner. And if you have a 1.5 inch circle punch, this is perfect for that. But if you don't, just a little hack is that you can slip this into your pocket. Sometimes, because the corners have some paper down there, sometimes you might need to take your bone folder and help work it down into the pocket. And then once you get it where you like it, where there's about 1/8 of an inch on either side and it's nice and square, you can take a pen or a pencil and trace that circle. And then take your fine tip scissors and just go on the outside of that circle. And I'm just going to go maybe giving it a nice 1/16 of an inch on the outside of my marked edge. Like I said before, or maybe I didn't, circles are not my jam. And I think you could take a long time trying to perfect them, which is why we're focusing on squares on my version. But that's simple enough and adds a nice little touch. And of course, if you want to make it look even better, you can always ink your edges to hide any imperfections, or even just take like a black marker like I'm doing here, and that will really make it go nice and easy onto your pocket. Now we're going to cut a piece of Be My Honey to be 4 5/16 by 3/4 of an inch, and I'm just going to adhere this over my busy bees in the center. Next, I'm going to take this sticker and adhere it to the center of my pocket. And then from Queen Bee, I'm going to take this Life is Beautiful border piece and just cut out that sentiment and adhere it. Step 6, I'm going to follow those same instructions for my back pocket. And now this time I'm just going to use my 1.5 inch circle punch and find my approximate center. And halfway down, I'm going to punch this out. And that will fit nicely on our pocket like that. So of course, if you've got that hole punch or that circle punch, that is the way to go. I know I don't love having a lot of tools around. They're hard to always find, and there's only a limited amount of space. So one of the things that I do recommend purchasing is a few different sizes of circle punches. Those really are a game changer in your crafting. Take this green polka dot sticker and adhere it to the center. And another Life is Beautiful sentiment. So next we're going to make some inserts for your front and back cover that offer some great spots for photos and a little pocket. Step 8, we're going to cut this Be My Honey to be 4 inches by 8 inches. And I'm going to keep all of my corners straight on this piece, but if you want to follow Carla's, round all 4. Now we are going to score from the top, and I know that this is the top because my words are up, right side up, and I'm going to score at 1 3/4. In the directions it says score from the bottom. However, if you do that, then your words will end up being upside down, so follow my directions. Next, we're going to cut Sweet as Can Be to be 4 inches by 7.5, and if you're rounding, round those top 2 corners. So here we're creating a pocket, as you can see. So I want to be thoughtful about where I put my adhesive. So I'm putting adhesive towards my score line and then also on both the sides. And I'm going to leave where my fingers are unadhered. That way, when I adhere this piece down, I'm going to do it sunflowers down and just adhere this right on top. So it looks like this, and then when you open it up, ours will look just like the sample. Now we are going to create the back photo mat insert, and we're going to follow those same directions. So we have cut our Love and Be Loved piece to be 4 inches by 8 inches, and our Life is Beautiful to be 4 inches by 7.5. And this one, the directional print is on the front. However, you can't really see it because we are going to put a journaling card on top of it. But just so you know, if you want it to look right, we are going to score on this one at the bottom at 1 3/4 because the inside is not directional. Fold that over and add your adhesive like this. And then I'm going to take my sunflower paper with the sunflowers at the bottom and the honey at the top. And I'm just going to flip that over so my red side's showing and match my 2 pieces together. And now we have created another little tag pocket page. I'm going to grab these 2 journaling cards. I'm going to put my beehive in my sunflower and honeycomb pocket. And then I'm going to put this Hello Sunshine in my green polka dot pocket. Grab these 2 4x6 journaling cards and trim 1/8 of an inch off of the 2 long sides on both of those. And then we're going to adhere these onto these 2 flaps. So the sunflower wishes is going to go on our red flap and our red ditzy flap, and then the Be Yourself journaling card will go on the red sunflower flap. So next we are going to cut out our little pull tabs, and you can either do circles or squares, and we are going to do 2 of the Sweet as Can Be at 1.5 inch and 1 of the Love and Be Loved at 1 1/8 and 1 of the Be My Honey at 1 1/8. So I'm going with the squares, and I'm going to put this on a diagonal so it looks like a nice little diamond, and I'm going to have that on the back side of this little photo mat like so. And then I'm going to take my red square and I'm going to put it on the front side and just match my angles. And then do the same with the other, with the green and yellow. Now we're going to create some belly bands. So we are going to take the Busy Bee and we're going to cut this 2 of them to be 8.5 by 3 1/4. And we're going to cut out 2 pieces of Be My Honey to be 4 inches by 1/2 inch. So to wrap this around, I like to make it easy by putting my piece that I'm wrapping around horizontal or flat with the table and up vertical, and then find approximately my center spot with my strip and have it all be flush with the countertop, and then just slowly fold back 1 side at a time like so. That way I know I'm getting a nice even sides. So now I've kind of ghost folded that piece, and I do want to keep in mind that we're going to be adding photos and other things to our photo mats that we're creating, so they're going to get a little more bulky than they are now. So when I'm going to burnish this down, I'm just going to kind of push my edges out just a little bit so it will be a little bit forgiving when we add in our personalized goodies. And then just add a bit of wet adhesive to that overlapped section, and then I want to make sure it doesn't adhere down. Pull it up and just hold while it dries, and then adhere your red pieces onto the front. Next, we're going to take 2 of these sunflower stickers, and if you have a 1 1/4 inch punch, you can just punch them out and adhere them right side up in the center. If you don't, you can always take some kind of floury surface like a baby powder or and put that on the back of your sticker so it will remove the stickiness. Or you can put this on top of some scratch paper and then cut around it so it's not sticky any longer. So whatever method you need to do, go for it. And then we are just going to add our adhesive in the center on the back, and that's just going to go with our stems to the bottom, sunflowers up. Slip your belly bands onto your photo mats, and now you've got some beautiful little photo mats to tuck into your front and back travel journal pockets. Now we're going to start working on our notebooks. So we're going to take notebook number 1, which has this grid paper. We're going to cut 2 pieces of Life is Beautiful to be 4 inches by 8 inches, and we've rounded on the one that we want to be the front cover, the right hand corners, and the one we want to be the back cover on the left hand corners. So now I'm going to sandwich these so my red sides are together, and I am going to line these up on my notebook number 1, and I'm just going to have everything go flush to the table, and then I'm going to center these. Make sure my 2 papers are matching each other, and have it flush to the table, and then have it be equal distance from the top and bottom. Then I'm going to flip this over, and you can see there's a tiny little bit of those papers overhanging, and I'm just going to trim so they match these edges where we can put our elastic in. So I've done that with the top and bottom now. And now you can see when I adhere this onto the front, it's going to match perfectly from the bottom corners as well as the top. And then go ahead and adhere your front and back onto your notebook number 1. This piece of Be My Honey has been cut to 1 1/4 by 4 inches, and we're going to put this on the front cover towards the left, about 2 inches from the top. And then we've cut a piece of Queen Bee to be 2 3/8 by 3 inches. And then from your sticker sheet, grab this frame sticker. Of course, you could always leave this frame piece out because it is 2 separate stickers, and add in your own photo or a sentiment, and then pop up some foam adhesive on the back and adhere this in the center of the red on the center of your album. If you want to go above and beyond, you can always trim out those fancy corners like Carla has done. Now we're going to work on a notebook number 2. So for this one, we're going to let our signature page do a lot of the work, which you gotta love. So this is step number 12. We're taking our Let It Be paper, and we have cut this piece to be 5 1/2 by 8 inches. And then we are going to trim off the left-hand side at 1 1/2 inch. And then we'll be left with this 4 by 8 inch piece. So I just rounded my corners on this Let It Be piece and left these ones straight. We're going to do the same technique we did with that last 2 papers where we're going to cut our corners out. I'm going to actually put this one on the front so I know where it is. Hold those nice and steady and flip this over, and then trim out our corners. Voila. And then adhere those 2 pieces down. From Love and Be Loved, we have cut this piece to be 2 3/8 by 8 inches and round the top and bottom left-hand corners. Adhere it down. Cut Be My Honey to be 4 inches by 1 1/4, and then take your Love and Be Loved sticker and add some foam adhesive to the back. And this is just going to go centered on our red piece. And then you can adhere that down just like I have, or you can do the Carla method and trim off those corners to match and then adhere. Step 13, notebook number 3. Cut a piece of Love and Be Loved to be 4 inches by 8 inches, and then we're going to cut a piece of the B side of Let It Be to be 4 inches by 8 inches. We've rounded our corners as you see here, and then snipped our corners here to match. Adhere the polka dots to the front. Nope, they're both polka dots. Adhere the red to the front and the black polka dots to the back. Now you see we've gotten to another step with those pesky circles. So of course, if you're going the circle route, let's go ahead and cut those to a diameter of 3 1/4, and that's the B side of Let It Be. And the Love and Be Loved, that one's going to be 2 3/4. However, for the squares, if you're going that route, I learned with our front cover that I think I would have liked it all if we would have sized it down a little bit. The circles give you a little extra gap that the squares don't. So learn my lesson. Now we have sized them down a little bit. So where this was 3 1/4, I just made it 3 inches. And where this was 2 3/4, I did 2 1/2 inches. If you're going the circle route, just go ahead and adhere those onto one another. If you're going squares, I'm going to adhere my black polka dot down about 2 inches from the top in the center. And then my green polka dot I'm actually going to do is a diamond shape just over the center of my black. And then grab this sunflower sticker, add your foam adhesives to the back, and just pop this up. Step 14, we're going to be creating this cute little fold out folder to stuff into our notebook pocket. So we are going to take this Love and Be Loved paper that's been cut to 7 3/4 by 7 3/4, and then we're going to score it in half vertically at the 3 7/8 inch mark. Go ahead and fold that in half and crease. Now we've got our sweet as can be paper that's been cut to 4 inches by 6 inches, and I am just going to score at the 1/2 inch mark. Next, we are going to take this journaling card that we have here, and we are going to score at 1 5/8. And then again at 5 1/2 on the front side. Fold the 1 5/8 flap forward and the 5 1/2 inch flap backwards. Now we're going to grab our 3 pieces. This one I have folded back on that crease. Add adhesive to that 1/2 inch mark, and on the inside on the green polka dot, I am just going to get this nice and flush with the left hand edge and about approximately in the center. When it's folded, I do want to be able to see a tiny bit of that green. That way I know it's not going to show on the outside. Piece folded like this, making sure everything is right side up. I'm going to add adhesive to this 1/2 inch flap here on the red portion. And then this will adhere in the center, just like we did our black polka dot sunflowers. Now I should be able to close this. Grab your bone folder and just go ahead and crease that down so everything lays nice and flat. So you can leave it just like that, or if you want, you can always round your edges as well. So if you round your edges, it will look like this. Step 14, we're going to make another one of these cute little folders for our notebook number 2. Life is Beautiful, and it's been cut again to 7 3/4 by 7 3/4, and we scored down the center at 3 7/8. Fold in half. So next we're going to take that Let It Be paper, and it's been cut to 4 inches by 6 inches. And you can see here, I want my polka dots to be on the outside and my Let It Be to be on the inside. So since it's directional, I'm going to be scoring on the right hand side at 3 1/2 inches. Crease. We're going to grab the sunflower journaling card and score at 1 5/8 and 5 1/2. And maybe some of you noticed that when I was scoring this, it was upside down, stems up. So now my score lines are on the wrong side, but we're just going to fix it, not to worry. So when we go to adhere it, we're going to have journaling side up and have it be folded, journaling 1/2 inch flap down and 1 5/8 inch flap forward. And then we're going to adhere our pieces just like we did the last go around. I'm always curious when I make a mistake on camera if any of you are catching it in real, or when you're watching it and you're just yelling at your screens, trying to save the mistake, but I think it looks great this way too. Step 16, follow those last 2 steps and create the 3rd folder. Cut Let It Be to be 7 3/4 by 7 3/4 and score at 3 7/8. Cut Love and Be Loved to be 4 by 6 and score at 3 1/2. Score this Life is Beautiful at 1 5/8 and again at 5 1/2. And then you can fold however you want it to go. And then adhere your pieces down. Now we're going to create our little photo mat flip up that goes in our back pocket of our notebook number 1. We've cut this piece of Be My Honey to be 4 inches by 7 1/2. And then with Love and Be Loved, we have cut this piece to be 4 inches by 6 3/4. And we are going to score this at a 1/2 inch from the top edge. And then I'm going to fold my flap down. Add adhesive to that 1/2 inch section. Make sure it's folded back. And then line up your 2 pieces that are flush on the bottom. And then go ahead and burnish that down to seal your cute little photo mat together. You can round if you'd like to. And then cut this Let It Be piece out from Queen Bee and adhere it down. And then we're going to add some fun little decorations with some of the scraps that we have left over. So you can do this in rounds or squares. I'm going to do rounds because Carla has already cut those out for me. And I've already showed you how to do squares at this point. So we've got a Busy Bee round that's 2 inches. We have a Sweet as Can Be that's 1 1/2 and a Honey, Be My Honey at 1 1/8. And then adhere your circles. And then insert those into your notebook number 1. Step 18, we are going to follow those same steps we just did and create another one of those for our notebook number 2. This time we are taking our Sweet as Can Be paper. That's going to be 4 inches by 7 1/2. And we are taking our Life is Beautiful. That is 4 inches by 6 3/4, which we have noted which way is the top. And we have scored at a 1/2 inch at the top of our paper. Fold that back and adhere flush with the bottom of your black polka dot paper. And then we are going to take our Let It Be journaling card and adhere it on the front. We're going to do a 2 inch round of our Love and Be Loved, a 1 1/2 of the Sweet as Can Be, and on the back side, a 1 1/8 of Be My Honey. And you should have a gorgeous photo mat like this. However, if you were cruising by and you weren't paying much attention, you might end up with something like this, which still I think looks great. And then stick that in your pocket. Step 19, our photo mat for notebook number 3. We're going to follow those same steps again. So we've got our Sweet as Can Be. That's been cut to 4 inches by 7 1/2. And then we have our Be My Honey. That's 4 inches by 6 3/4. 4 inches by 6 3/4. And this one, we're going to have our red side on the outside of our tag. And so we'll open it up this way. So we want to make sure that our 1/2 inch score mark is going to be at the bottom of this paper. That way, when you flip it up, everything will still be right side up. And then let's decorate this with our Queen Bee paper. We've cut out this Queen Bee cut apart, and then we have added our 2 inch round from Just Because. This is Sweet as Can Be, that's 1 1/2 inches, and Be My Honey is 1 1/8. Step 20, we are going to add some paper onto our diagonal pocket, and then we're going to add a cute little decorative pocket for a DIY tag to go in as well. So you can always click the link down below for a cutting guide where you can find a template for this, or you can create a template like I will show you using these directions. So what we're going to be using are 2 pieces of this Busy Bee paper, and we want to cut this paper to be 3 1/2 inches by 6 7/8.
You will need to do this with a scratch piece of paper and not the Busy Bee papers. That way you can get 6 of these templates or 6 of these diagonal pockets from 1 sheet of Busy Bee paper.
Do some marking. So I like marking with my scoreboard. It makes it nice and easy. I'm going to mark at the 7/8 inch mark from the top on the 3 1/2 inch side. And then I'm going to put this horizontally where my first marking is now on the left. And then I'm going to mark on the 6 7/8 inch side at 4 1/2. So now that I have my 2 markings and I'm still sandwiched together, we can take our scoreboard, or you can take a craft knife and a ruler. This is not a scoreboard, this is a paper trimmer. But either way, I'm going to keep my papers nice and together. You can always use some washi to make sure that you are keeping them aligned. And then I'm going to take my 2 points that I have marked and make sure that those are going to show. Those are going to be right in the path of my cutting blade. And then I'll put this down and simply cut on that diagonal, making sure I go through both layers. And now, voila, I have my 2 file folder pieces. Next, we're going to take our Life is Beautiful paper and we're going to cut this to be 3 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch, which seems really confusing when I say it out loud, but I think when you see it, that makes total sense. If you'd like, you can round those edges or you can keep them square like I have, and then just add some liquid adhesive along the perimeter of all 4 of those edges, making sure not to put any adhesive in the center. And then we're going to adhere this to our diagonal pocket about 1 3/4 inch from the bottom. And then do the same with the other side. And then using a crocodile or a hole punch, we are going to punch some holes because we're going to be creating a little slit here. And we want this to be about a 1/4 of an inch from that sunflower edge and in the center on both sides. And once you've done one, you can use that first one as a template to do your second one. So then you'll have matching holes. All right, so I tried to avoid the craft knife and use a paper trimmer, and it didn't work as well as I wanted to. So I'm gonna take my craft mat and my ruler, and I'm going to cut a line from one hole to the other hole. So once you have gone through both sections of your paper, then we can move our ruler down and then use your craft knife and cut a second line. So that should pop out. There we go. Now we have a nice little pocket. So after you've done that with both, they should look like this, which reminds me of some like nice little tailored vest pockets. Add adhesive around the perimeter, making sure not to put any adhesive in the center. And center it onto your diagonal pocket in your notebook number 1. And then adhere the other one in your back pocket. And then for step 21 and 22, we are going to repeat those same steps, so it makes it nice and easy. So step for notebook 2, you're going to do the busy bee pockets, the same for notebook 3. And then for your little pocket liners, we're going to have the let it be that are 3 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch. And for your notebook number 3, you'll be using Love and Be Loved that are 3 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch. Notebook number 2, we've adhered in the front and back, and notebook number 3. So I'm mixing and matching steps number 23, 24, and 25 all, so you can just see it done nice and easy. So we are going to take our Life is Beautiful paper, Sweet as Can Be, and the Be My Honey paper, and we've cut all 3 of those to be 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And then we are going to tagify them. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to take our crocodile and we are going to round those bottom edges. So being mindful of what is top and what is bottom. And then grabbing our scissors, we are going to cut some tag edges at the top. So I've got my one tag edge here, and you can see this is how it came apart. Now I'm just going to take that and flip it over and put it on the other side, like so. Bring it up flush with that corner, and then taking my scissors again, making sure my hands are out of the way, I am going to cut this like so, and now I'll have a nice and even tag. But the glory of doing one is now we can do all three of those. Just using our first tag as our marking, so they are all going to match, and I'll have matching diagonal corners. And then we are going to take some of our leftover, or what we haven't used yet, journaling cards from the smaller size. And like you can see this one here, we cut it apart. And so we cut it to be 1 7/8 by 2 7/8. And then we rounded off those corners, and we just want to use the journaling section. So you can see one side has like a decorative little area and one side has a space for writing. Of course, if you'd rather use the decorative side or you want to put something on the back, you can definitely do that. But we want to leave our options open and just go ahead and adhere that onto the back. And then before I adhered those down, I switched up my Hello Sunshine so it will read right direction, side up. So I trimmed it down to be 2 inches by 2 1/4, and then adhere like this. And then those are going to slide into your notebooks into the front cover. Step 26 is very similar to the last one we did, except for now we're going to take Let It Be, Be My Honey, and Love and Be Loved and cut it to the 2 1/2 by 3 1/2 measurement. And then again, we can take one of our tags we already created to make sure these all match and look great. And then from these journaling cards, trim them down to be 2 inches by 3 inches and round the corners that are not already round. And we can and then from your sticker sheets, add these cute little sunflower stickers. And if you want to go Carla's way, you can use your crocodile and punch a hole in the center of that sunflower. So you've got a cute little tag. So of course you can use these notebooks however you want to use them and really personalize them. If you do want to see some great suggestions on how to use your leftover bits and pieces or stickers, this is what Carla has done with the number 1, really utilizing those borders and extra fussy cuts. We have some here. So a lot of these are coming from those journaling cards, and like this one came from that extra piece from our first journaling card we cut up for our first tag. So great and such fun to really add character while you're journaling or plannering, however you're going to use it. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but in our travel journals, they already come pre-elasticed for you. So it's easy to just slip in and out your notebooks while you're using them or change them out when you need a new one. How it works is that there's an extra elastic track, which Carla is utilizing, and we're going to be creating these super fun and easy DIY folios to put on that 4th track that isn't used, and then use up that elastic from the front that we took out in the beginning. Step 27, we are going to cut a piece of Just Because to be 3 inches by 8 1/4. And then we are going to score a line. It says at 1/4 of an inch from the right hand edge. So that is at 2 3/4. Now we're going to cut Sweet as Can Be to be 8 1/2 by 8 1/4. Make it nice and simple. So we're scoring at 4 inches and we're scoring at 8 1/4. And you can see this piece is going to be upside down, but we're going to cover it with some paper anyway, so not to worry. And then I'm going to take these 2 1/4 inch sections and I'm going to overlap them. So I'm going to put adhesive on this little area here. So then I'm going to just take those 1/4 inch sections and I'm going to adhere my yellow stripe on top of my black pattern, and then burnish down and make sure everything folds nicely. Step 28, we're going to cut out 2 pieces of Busy Bee. One of those is going to be 3 3/4 by 8 inches, and the other one's going to be 2 1/2 by 8 inches. If you'd like to round your corners, you can go ahead and do so. I'm going to keep mine straight to keep things more simple, but here is what it'll look like if you round it out. Adhere onto those coordinating panels and then make sure that those words in the background are right side up. Step 29, our folio insert. We're going to cut 2 pieces of Just Because to be 4.5 by 8.25. Now for a bit of scoring. For our first one, we want our text to be up and right side up, of course, and we're going to score this from the left at 1.5 inches, like so. And then our second one, we want our text to be right side up, but it'll be down, and stripe side up, we are going to score at 2 inches. And then go ahead and burnish your score lines. So now we're going to take our 2 pieces. This is our first one we did that's scored at 1.5, and this is our one that's scored at 2 inches. And they will nest inside of each other, so it looks like this. And then those will nest in this corner here with these. So we're going to be threading that elastic cord through here. So we need to be notching our corners just like our notebooks. So I'm not going to do all of them at the same time, but I will do my folio cover. So we can do it how we have been doing it, or you could even just mark your corners like so. And then with your scissors, you can just trim those babies out. So now I have those nice folio corners, and I'm going to do that same step on top of this one. So I'll just mark those corners and trim these babies up. Now everything should be nesting and fitting nicely inside. From Queen Bee, we're going to cut out this sunflower rectangle with just the black, no yellow border. And this is going to adhere onto our striped flap. So I want it to be on the center about 3/8 of an inch from the right hand side. So I'm just kind of putting my fingers down where I know that this will be exposed here. So I know where to put my adhesive now. So just making sure I leave all of that area clear is a good way for me to remember not to adhere there and adhere down. Next, we're going to take this journaling card and we want to adhere it inside like this. So there's some polka dot on the outside and the journaling side up on the inside. Square it up how you'd like it on the front. So now we've got our travel journal cover and we're going to insert our folio elements inside there. So we can just do one at a time, and we're going to do it on this second track. So it's not my first elastic, but my second one. And I'm taking my large first folio page. I'm just going to fit it down right where I've got my divots. And then making sure I've got these 2 pages in order. I'm going to put my striped one with the words on the right side inside like so, and then with the words on the outside and the stripes on the inside, this will go right there. And because we cut out those little divots, it just makes it all fold together and sit beautifully. Step 31, we've cut out 2 pieces of Be My Honey to be 3.25 by 3 inches. And then adhere those into the inside left flap. Grab this cute little banner and put that right in the center of those 2. Next, we are going to take a Life is Beautiful square of 4x4 and this 4-inch Queen Bee border, and we're going to add those to our 1.5-inch flap. So I'm going to start with my border first, and I'm just going to put it flush with the bottom in the center of my stripes. And then with this beautiful square, this is just going to go overlapping just a tiny bit over that and making sure that I can still open and shut my folio perfectly. So I know now I want to put my adhesive about an inch on the back of the left-hand side. Adhere that down. Step 32, we have Sweet as Can Be, which is 3 inches by 6 inches. And we're going to adhere this onto that flap we were just working on, the 1.5 inch flap, but on the back side. And we want to leave about a 1/4 of an inch from the right and from the bottom. So that's been adhered down, and now I'm just going to go in with my liquid adhesive and seam these 2 pieces together. So now that will move as one, and it's nice and yellow vibrant on one side and nice and black and red on the other. So now we're going to move over to work on this flap here. And we've taken this piece of Be My Honey to be 3 7/8 of an inch by 4 3/8. And we are going to adhere this an inch from the top and about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch from the center. For step 33, we are going to need to turn this over, and now we're working at the center of our folio with our stripes out. And from a journaling card, we fussy cut out this "Don't Worry, Be Happy" sentiment, which of course, this is a great time where you may want to hold off on this step until you're adding in your photos and you know exactly where you want this to go. But I know by following Carla's great directions that I want to put that right there. And then the sunflower that came from the same journaling card is just going to go right underneath that bee's wing, or right underneath that bee, and just be about halfway on our red and stripes. Next, we are going to take this sunflower 4x6, or it is a 6x4 because this is the right direction. However, we want to be highlighting this Love and Be Loved on the opposite side of this, like so. And I'm just going to adhere this with about 1/4 of an inch of room at the bottom. And I'm, of course, leaving that nice 1/8 of an inch towards the center of our spine, which helps everything open and close. And you can always squeeze in some more adhesive if you didn't get close enough. Step 34, we've got Love and Be Loved that's been cut to 3 by 5.5 inches. And this is going to go right here. So our corner is the only thing we would need to worry about not adding adhesive to. Once we have our adhesive added, we can adhere this down. And now our Love and Be Loved sentiment here is really highlighted, leaving a great spot for a photo. From Queen Bee, we've cut out this border to be 8 1/4 inch. And now we're going to create a belly band. So we love these because you just add adhesive to the top and bottom. Easy peasy. And this is just going to go on the center of our next little flap. And then once that dries, you can just take some leftover journaling cards. I'm going to use these 2 and stuff those right in there, which is going to make for more great photo mats and spots for journaling. If you're doing circles, for step 35, we're going to cut this Life is Beautiful circle to be 3 7/8 of an inch diameter, or you can do a square, of course. So this one is going to go, I'm going to take my journaling cards that I stuffed in there so I make sure I don't accidentally glue this to those. But this is going to go off towards the top, about 1/2 inch from the top and about 1 inch from the side. Next, take this 3x4 journaling card and cut 1 inch off the right hand side. And then with the left hand side, we are going to adhere this, I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom, overlapping a bit onto our circle. We're going to cut this Let It Be piece to be 3.5 inches by 6 inches, and it's going to go towards the top on our yellow watermelon stripe. Now I'm going to take that 1-inch scrap and puzzle piece this back together. And then from Queen Bee, we're going to take this Love and Be Loved border and put it about 1/4 inch below our polka dots, making sure we can still open and close everything. Next, we're going to take that elastic cord that we took off the front at the very beginning and just kind of picking up our folio. I am going to go ahead and tie this in a loose-ish knot, but not baggy. So it'll kind of keep it closed, especially once you start adding your photos and everything. But you can also just pull it off to the side and down. In the instructions, Carla has you add some stickers to the ends and to here. However, I've found that in using and playing around with it a lot, the back sticker comes up and the end stickers are getting a little worn because this is just getting so much love. So you can do it that way and grab some coordinating stickers and just cover those ends using some good glue, or you can leave it nice and simple. So this is what your folio should look like at this point. So many great spaces, so fun, and I love all the different sizes of pages and elements, just really bringing a lot of beauty to this travel journal. Now I'm just going to take my notebook number 1 and I'm going to put it through my first elastic track. However, I want to do the back one, not the front one. Like so. Then I've got my folio on the second one. I'm going to put notebook number 2 on my third track, which is hiding behind my second one. And then I'm going to take notebook number 3, and this one is going to go back on my last one. So my album should look a little something like this at this point. So now I'm going to add my roses since we're all done here. And in the instructions, it has you using 2 small to medium flowers with those leaves and then 4 buds. However, because I have a square one, I'm going to add a little more to my top corner here. So I'm going to start putting these together. So how I like to do things is with these wiry stems, kind of wire things together. And this one, I think I want to go up in this top corner. I'm going to play with a scene where I have my large, my medium, and these 3 buds staggering like so. And then once you have the placement that you like those, then you can just twist all of your roses together. That will help keep them where you want. And you can take your scissors that you don't mind cutting up some wire with and cut that. So I like how I have these 4 bundled together. I have added my adhesive and I'm going to place those. Next, I'm going to do my largest of my flowers. Put this next to that, kind of fanning out some of these petals. So I like my arrangement that I've got going down here and then now up in my top corner. I'm just going to try to flatten this little blossom out as well. Add your liquid adhesive and adhere this baby down. Go ahead and set that to the side to dry. So there you have it. We finished this fun, fabulous travel album with DIY folio. We added so many great inserts and tags and pockets. So you can really customize and personalize these. We love to see your work, so be sure to share your projects with us on Instagram using that Graphic45 hashtag. And if you're looking for more great tutorials like this one, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and then hit that notification bell so you are alerted each and every time we post a new video. We thank you so much for joining, and as always, happy paper crafting.